Good afternoon, and welcome to the National Stand Down on StruckBy incidents. I am Skip Poe, and I'm the Executive Director for the Alabama Road Builders Association. And on behalf of our Work Zone team, which includes Charlotte Koff from AGC in the back, Morris and Millie are walking around here somewhere, Jen Eubanks from AlDOT, and our whole CNH construction family here on the front, we want to welcome our guests and all those live streaming across the country to Mobile, Alabama, the birthplace of Mardi Gras. So Alabama is excited to host the inaugural on-site event, which is appropriate since our work zone efforts in Alabama began right here in Mobile 20-something years ago. In addition, this project, the McGregor Avenue project for the city of Mobile, is being built by a member H.O. Weaver & Sons, and that project was recently spotlighted by ARTBA as an IIJA project. And speaking of the contractor, I don't know if Paul's here. We got Michael Weaver. Thank you all for hosting this and putting this on with your whole family of workers. And most importantly, to John McLaughlin and Chris Wiley, who are somewhere in the crowd, roughly, who made all this possible, getting everything set up so we could be here today. So let's talk about StruckBy incidents. Unfortunately, we had way too many over the last 25 years. And some were our family members of our contractors, and that just it's one of those trips no contractor wants to have to go to one of his workers' houses and tell the family what happened. It's even harder when it's your own family. Over the last decade, we've averaged about 2 workers per year, which is, as we all know, too many. And it's not just contractors that are affected by these fatalities. It's hit us all at home. It's hit consultant engineers as well as AlDOT. Last year in Auburn, we lost two of our workers, Barry McCard and Tara Harris. Barry was setting up traffic control signs or lane closure signs on I-85 when he was struck by, and then Tara was doing flagging work when she was struck, killing both of them instantly. And so it's these type of tragedies that motivated us to include changes in this year's Move Over Act. And so now, not just accounting for wreckers and first responders and those type of emergency vehicles, the law is being changed to include construction, maintenance, and surveying vehicles. And that's being sponsored by Representative Rhett Marcus and Senator Gerald Allen, and we're appreciative of their efforts to try to include us, because we all realize at times there's just the way traffic is, you can't move over. And we're not asking necessarily you move over, but if you can't, slow down, because that makes a world of difference. Hitting someone at 40 is a lot different than hitting someone at 55, 60, 70 miles an hour. 3 years ago, we were seeing national statistics skyrocket on fatalities in work zones and crashes in general, and we'd seen a slight slowdown at that in Alabama, but not to the extent that we were happy with. So Senator Allen changed the work zone violations law at that point in time to make double fines in work zones, and over the last 3 years we've seen a significant drop in our both people being hit and as far as our crashes in work zones. So our work's not finished because we're still having people killed in work zones. So until we're at zero, we have much to advocate for. Well, let's not forget that all StruckBys are from traffic. A lot of folks have heard or know about e-ticketing and its rapid implementation across the state, but they don't know how it started. And that was the case where it was a backover incident. One of my colleagues in Iowa, his mentor that he started on a project working for, roughly got backed over one day by a piece of equipment. And that motivated him is, why are we still having people walk up by a dump truck or around equipment to try to get a paper ticket? There's got to be a better way. And so all safety professionals know that for years and years, there were more people killed and injured by backover incidents and being struck by than there ever were from traffic. So that's it's one of those things, whether it's traffic or whether it's equipment on a job site, both of them pose huge struck-by risk to our workers, and it gives us cause to roughly have events such as this to advocate to our workers the importance of basically having your head on a swivel and paying attention to what's going on around you so that you're not hit, so at the end of the day you can go home to your work family. Well, that being said, again, welcome everyone here and all those across the country. At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Guy O'Connor from the City of Mobile to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Skip. I appreciate that. Again, I'm Guy O'Connor. I'm serving as project manager for the City of Mobile for McGregor Avenue Widening project from Airport Boulevard to Dolphin Street. And on behalf of the City Mobile, we'd like to extend our great thanks and appreciation for the opportunity to participate in this event. This is a very important event to advocate and promote work zone safety. So thank you again for this opportunity to join you today. This is a large and complicated project for the city. It's a very important project. Safety is always a top priority for all of our projects. This project's a bit unique in that our right-of-way that we have available for the construction of this project on McGregor is actually quite limited. So limited, in fact, that we were not comfortable leaving the corridor open for construction. Did not feel that it would be safe for the traveling public, did not feel that it would be safe for the construction personnel responsible for constructing the project. Therefore, an executive decision was made at the high levels with the city to close the corridor to facilitate construction safety, again, for the public and for construction personnel. And as you can imagine, closing the corridor required extensive public outreach and communication. So our city communications team got very busy in communicating directly with the adjacent residents living here on the corridor, as well as the neighboring associations, neighborhood associations, and our local business owners as well, to communicate, again, what's coming, what's this project, what's its purpose, how will they be affected, how will traffic be circulated. So it's a very extensive coordination effort. The McGregor corridor is also an extensive utility corridor. Major utilities using this corridor to distribute utilities throughout our community. So we're grateful for the coordination that we've had with each of the utility companies. This has been an extensive phase. The sequencing and construction, I think the team has worked extremely well together in making it happen. We're currently completing the utility relocation phase for the project. This utility work has required some very deep excavations for the relocation and new construction of gas lines and communication lines that proved to be true. What we'd anticipated of being very difficult construction, very unsafe work conditions proved to be true, especially during this utility relocation phase. Again, warranting the closure of the corridor. The construction of the roadway itself will advance primarily from the south to north, so from Airport Boulevard to Dolphin Street, including the construction of the roundabout up at the top of the hill at Dolphin Street and Wimbledon. We're excited that this project will not only improve the mobility for the traveling public, but also for alternative modes of transportation, for cyclists and pedestrians, because we'll be constructing a multi-use path on the east side of the project, as well as sidewalks on the west side, again, to develop and promote traffic north and south, frequenting from the businesses to the residents and back and forth. So we're excited about that. Again, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank the local residents, our neighborhood associations, as well as the traveling public for their continued understanding and patience during this difficult construction phase. And we're very grateful for the partnerships that we have, our partnerships with the Alabama Department of Transportation, with the Federal Highway Administration, with our contractor, with our C&I consultant, as well as the construction and safety industry. Because we at the city, we realize that without these partnerships, these important projects cannot be delivered to our community. So we're very grateful and thankful for y'all coming together, joining us, and enabling us, again, to deliver these important projects for our community. We look forward to the successful and safe completion of this project. And again, we're grateful and thankful for this opportunity to join you, the construction and safety team, to promote, enhance construction safety in the work zone. So thank you for this opportunity. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris Wiley, and I'm with H.O. Weaver & Sons. We'd like to welcome you to our McGregor Avenue project, and more importantly, to this safety stand down, where we're here just to spread the message on work zone awareness and safe driving through work zones, and we can't stress it enough. I guess today is the official kickoff to the Work Zone Awareness Week, but we live this every single day, and so our thoughts were that while this may be a campaign week, we would hope that this message conveys next week and the week after and the week after and the week after, and we talk about this, as much as we can. Sometimes road projects Guy mentioned it about having patience. Sometimes it becomes an inconvenience or, just a frustration for some. I assure you that we're doing the best that we can to get a job. That frustration are the men and women that are on the job actually doing the work. Brother or sister, so the price of progress, as we say, just keep those things in mind. Those people are out here just trying to build a safer, more efficient means of travel. The thing that I would encourage everybody to do is when you see it, we got some of our own guys. What they do, they don't hear that a lot. There are other things. But we certainly appreciate them. Without them, we don't have a company, we don't have a business. So that's something for all of us to keep in mind. For the traveling public, it's been said a couple times already, but the best thing that you can do is when you approach these work zones, just slow down. Put the distractions down. I think cell phones are probably the biggest distraction that we all face. You heard it said before, but there's no text or no email or no phone call or anything that's worth any of those lives that you see on that job site. So just can't hammer that home enough. From a contractor's perspective, our people put their lives on the line every single day for this. And so we're very appreciative of them, appreciative of other companies that are here today and maybe watching live. And again, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for helping spread this message. We hope that you have a good day and a good work zone awareness week and many weeks after that. So appreciate this opportunity. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce Scott Ernest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here today to focus on StruckBys and StruckBy incidents in highway work zones. I'm with the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. Some of you may not be that familiar with it, but it's a sister agency of OSHA. OSHA has set standards nationally, and NIOSH is responsible for all sorts of research on all industries beyond construction. But I want to thank Weaver for hosting this. I also want to reach out and thank Brad Sant and ARTPA for their involvement in helping to organize, and Alana Klein with Kinetic Insurance, who co-leads our StruckBy work group on our National Occupational Research Agenda team. As was said earlier, StruckBy incidents are the second leading cause of fatalities among construction workers, second only to falls from elevation. Each year, nationally, there's between 150 and 180 construction workers that are killed on the job each day from StruckBy incidents. And so that's why this effort, this focus on preventing StruckBy incidents is so important, because each one of those incidents where a worker is killed, or for that matter injured, is a tragedy for not only the company and the co-workers, but for their families and for the individuals involved. StruckBy incidents occur not only in highway work zones, but they also occur from dropped objects or objects that are falling from elevation, or flying objects. They also occur from getting struck by nails from nail guns, or lift zones when cranes are involved. It's all part of what OSHA calls the Focus 4 hazards. Focus 4 hazards represent 60% of the reasons why construction workers are dying on the jobs: falls, struck by, caught in between, and electrocutions. Now, the NIOSH has a fatality investigation program. We've been doing this for many, many years. We go out and look at incidents that have occurred, and one of them in particular that comes to my mind is a 42-year-old flagger that was on a 2-lane road. He was situated on a curve in the road, and a distracted driver came around the curve and hit the flagger right in the middle of the road, and he went up over the top of the vehicle, landed on his head. The EMTs arrived, and he ended up dying on the way to the hospital. We did a big investigation of this incident, and some of the things that were found in the report were there were some issues with the training. There was not adequate training that was occurring. There were some issues with some of the workers on the site not wearing high visibility garments. And there were some recommendations for the future. One had to do with, rather than having a flagger out in the road, using automated signs instead, so you get away from having somebody right there in the road, or using positive protection such as concrete barriers in the road to help prevent that sort of an incident also. And then, as was said earlier, just slowing down through the work zones, because a lot of times people are just in a hurry to get to where they're going, and they don't pay attention to the workers that are there and the impact that they can have. But again, in terms of the statistics, it's very, very high. 150 to 180 fatalities each year just from struck-by incidents alone. If you start looking at the non-fatal injuries that are occurring, it ranges anywhere from 14,000 to 21,000 in any given year. So again, the toll from these struck-by incidents is great. Another aspect of it is the impact of dump trucks, because dump trucks are one of the biggest issues, or one of the biggest offenders, where a lot of the struck-by incidents are occurring in the highway work zones. And some of it has to do with just the visibility around those vehicles. I wanted to mention the National Construction Center that NIOSH funds, CPWR. They did a survey several years ago of 200 experts in the construction industry, and they looked at some of the main reasons that play into why struck-by incidents are occurring. And they found that some of the top three include lack of pre-task planning, sort of doing job safety analysis early on, scheduling pressures of trying to get the job done quickly at the expense of safety at times, and then again, as I said earlier, lack of training. So all three of those things are extremely important. And I wanted to just mention to everybody that they have set up a website at cpwr.com. And if you go to that website and look up struck-by hazards, there's just a tremendous amount of information that can be beneficial to help improve safety on job sites. There's toolbox talks, there's infographics, there's a whole series of videos. I know ARPA was involved in developing some of those videos on actual incidents, blogs, webinars, and fatality investigation reports. But again, I just want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank Weaver, the contractor. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn things over to Francisco Garcia with the local area OSHA office. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I want to start with a number. The number is 5. That's the number of fatalities that our jurisdiction has investigated at its road construction. Okay, so those are 5 people that didn't make it back home that day. Let's go over some safety tips for the employees. Always stay alert. Don't turn your back to traffic. Wear your high visibility garment. Beware of potential hazards, especially blind spots relative to moving construction equipment. Always look before you move from your position. Fully understand the channel lanes where walking is prohibited or is proscribed, where vehicles and equipment enter or exit, and the direction of all traffic in and out the work zone. Use spotter while loading and unloading equipment. In acting as a spotter, know where you are expected to stand and confirm with hand signals are to be relayed to the driver. Be aware of the swing area of the equipment that uses buckets. Equipment operators should never move equipment without making positive visual eye contact with all workers on foot in their vicinity. Flaggers should understand that the traffic flow, work zone setup, and proper placement of traffic channeling devices. Flaggers should maintain ample distance from other highway workers so their role can be distinguished by passing motorists. Flaggers should ensure to have good sight communication or two-way radios to communicate with counterpart at the other end of the vehicular stream. Have a bailout plan, very important. Use truck-mounted attenuators. Install as many traffic control devices as possible. So, to sum all of these up, when we talk about the hierarchy of controls, this is there's some engineering controls, especially when you're following the MUTCD, and then there's some admin controls when you're adding your local law enforcement or you're doing road construction work overnight where there's less traffic. It boils down to situational awareness. We all have to be aware of our surroundings before we move, while we're there. Construction needless to say here to everyone, it changes every day, every minute, every hour. Everything changes. So situational awareness is big. The other thing is complacency. It's your worst enemy. Distractions and complacency. You ought to treat that work zone like if it was the first day you ever worked on the road. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now I'll leave you with Mr. Bradley Sant from ARTBA.
Well, thank you. It is wonderful to be here with you. I'd like you to do something for me for just a moment. Turn to the person on your right and shake their hand. Guess if you're all turning to the right. Now do the same to the other person on the other side of you. Now, perhaps with few exceptions, is there any one of those people who you would not like to see tomorrow on the job site? Because just a few weeks ago, Miguel Luna, Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes, Minor Yasir Suazo Sandoval, Dorian Castillo Cabrera, and Jose Minor Lopez went to work to fill potholes on the Francis Scott Key Bridge. They had no idea that their families would never see them again. And this was the tragic accident where the barge hit the bridge. Now that was very unusual. We don't usually worry about boats hitting us. But the sad thing is just 1 year earlier, not far from there, 6 workers were killed on a road job when speeding motorists lost control of their car and killed those workers. And those are the ones that we hear about in the headlines. What we don't hear about is the ones that happened in West Virginia, Oklahoma, Georgia. I could go on and on, North Carolina, Mississippi, just this year, where workers have been killed. Sometimes by intrusions, and that's the reason we talk about National Work Zone Awareness Week. But sometimes, as Skip talked about, we're running over our own. And so, as we've talked about the National Stand Down to prevent struck-by incidents, we created this symbol here you see in front of you, and many of you are wearing the sticker, calling the Sphere of Safety. Unlike most construction, we're not able to put up a chain link fence and keep people out. Unlike much of construction, we are confined with very large pieces of equipment operating in a very tight area with workers on foot close by. And so we have to think of ourselves every day when we're working is in this sphere where we're going to protect ourselves from overhead power lines, from buried utilities, from moving trucks and equipment. As we think of that sphere of safety, we're trying to contemplate every way that something could come in and strike us and hurt us. And the best way that we know about is the concept called internal traffic control plans. And of course, we have an entire 4-hour course that teaches this. But it's a very basic concept. We don't want workers on foot laboring near moving pieces of equipment. And we can do that by simply structuring our workplaces to separate the two, making sure that workers stay out of equipment paths and swing radius, and the equipment stays away from the porta-johns, the water cooler, that we don't entice workers and vehicles to cross paths in any way. So I hope as you go back to work, you think about that person next to you, and you think about, I want to make sure they're safe, and you think about how I can protect myself and my workers by creating a sphere of safety, by controlling the traffic and controlling where workers are going so that our work sites are fast, they're efficient, and they're safe. And I thank you for taking time to be with us here today and for helping us support this stand down. Now we would like to have some concluding remarks by Morris King and his companion with the Alabama AGC and Vulcan Materials.
There you go. Thank you, guys. All Good afternoon. So we've covered a lot of ground here today. Think about this when you think about covering ground. If you're traveling 55 miles an hour, you glance at your phone for 5 seconds, your car is going to travel 100 yards. There's a lot of injury and a lot of death that can occur in that 100 yards. This is Millie. Millie's my Labrador Retriever. She is the work zone safety mascot with the Associated General Contractors of Alabama. Millie and I have a program where we travel around the state and we talk to 4th and 5th graders. Now you may say, why are you talking to 4th and 5th graders about work zone safety? How many kids got phones? If they don't have them, they're going to get them. We all know their faces in those phones, right? When I start a presentation, and I've spoken to over 1,000 kids, the one question that I ask them is, how many of you have been in a vehicle when the driver is texting? 100% of the time, all the hands go up. So in that program, we talk to them about it. It's interactive. We put safety vests on them. We bring them to the front. There's a point in that program when some of their classmates are in a StruckBy. And it's very sobering to those kids. We challenge those kids to take that message home. We challenge them, if they see something going on, to stop. Stop the activity, right? Let those people know what's going on, all right? A construction guy walking into a school, I wouldn't get their attention. When I bring Millie, I have their full attention, okay? Millie's the hook. So as we move through today, okay, what I would like to challenge everybody here and everybody that's listening, obviously, go back to work and work safe, but take it a step further. Take the message home. Have a discussion in your house. Have a discussion with your friends. Let them know how texting and driving and/or distracted driving affects the lives of road workers, because it can affect their life as well. That's my ask of you. That's Millie's challenge. Who wants to be on Millie's team? That's what we ask all these children, and it's 100% they raise their hands. So please go back to work, work safe. When you get home today, hug your kids, kiss your spouse, pet your dog on the head, and continue to work safe. Thank you. Have a great day. Try this again without knocking something over.